Rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is a communal act. These words were written by the great author, Bell Hooks. I am Tammeca, mother to Michael, daughter to Dara and Tony, and granddaughter to Spelman Rochester. I like to think of myself as what happens when jerk chicken meets Atlanta lemon pepper wings. See, I am the first generation of our family to immigrate into the United States from a small parish in Jamaica called St. Elizabeth. Oh, so I know some of y'all are like, where is St. Elizabeth? But don't worry if you haven't heard of it. Not too many people have. It is truly the best kept secret in Jamaica. Little known fact, it's where 42 different mango variations originated from. And I know because I've tried every single one of them. Now, I had the distinct childhood and the honor of being raised between two different countries. See, during the year, we would be riding our bikes up and down the streets of Atlanta, and then every single summer, we would be back home with my grandmother in St. Elizabeth, running barefoot through mango trees, running up and down to the beach, and climbing and doing all the great things a childhood should be. Now, take a moment back in time with me. It's 1992, it's summertime. I'm back in St. Elizabeth with my grandmother. I'm about 11 years old at the time. It's early morning, about 7:30, 8 a.m., so by my grandma's standards, we slept in this morning. We're out back, my sister's enjoying her tea, or Milo if you're familiar. I'm, of course, eating a mango because that's literally what I did every day of my life. As we're sitting out there, Grandma's humming to her plants because Grandma strongly believed that if you hum to your plants, they will grow. And Grandma had a pretty mean green thumb, so we'll take that as a fact. So as we're there, this man approaches from the side of our house. He greets my grandmother, "Good morning, Miss Centine." Then he looks at me and my sister, gives us the familiar nod. They proceed to start talking. He's giving Grandma all the tea, like everything. Who's doing what, who's doing it where, and who's doing who. And my grandmother is eating it up. They talk for a solid 20 to 30 minutes. I, of course, being the 11-year-old that I am, was easily eavesdropping on this whole conversation. Now, as he's telling my grandma these stories, he pauses for a second, looks at my grandmother and says, "Miss Centine, can I pick some mangoes and berries from your tree?" I immediately knew the answer, right? But to my total shock, my grandma says yes. And I'm like, oh my God. But again, I'm raised by Dara and Centine, so I know better than to question them in front of public. So I wait. And the moment he leaves, I'm immediately on my grandmother. I'm like, "Grandma, why would you say that?" She brushes me off and she's like, "Oh, it's fine." And I'm like, okay, now remind you, I'm 11 years old, and I'm living between two countries. So not only do I know everything, I am worldly. And so I am ready to school my grandmother on how the world works. So I say, "Grandma, no, you have to understand. He's gonna take our fruit, he's gonna take our mangoes, and he's going to sell it." She looks me square in the eyes. Now, I'm translating from Patois because it was a little different when she said it. She says, "Tammy, whether he sells it or he eats it, his life will be better, and so will ours, because we helped." Now, that was my first lesson in community. See, I didn't understand what was going on in that moment, but every year I look back on that one moment where my grandmother showed me what it truly meant to be bigger and be part of something bigger than myself. See, in this moment, that interconnection that they had with that one goal of being just having a better life. And so I've used that interconnection as I've continued to journey through many different communities. Now, we're all saying, okay, well, what is community then, really? Because we've heard the word used all the time. It is like the #1 marketing word everywhere you go. Community this, community that, community this. But what does it truly mean? Take a moment with me. Let's dissect it for its base words: common and unity. It is the interconnection of us as individuals working towards one common goal. It's where we feel seen, it's where we find a place of belonging, and it's where we feel like our needs will be met. Now, it really has nothing to do with where you live, how much money you have, or who your parents were. It is truly about finding a connection towards a common goal. And now, without even polling the audience, I know for a fact that every one of us have the common goal of leading a healthy life. I don't even have to ask, because there's not too many people who told me otherwise, right? And so I've traveled many, many years, I've worked many different careers, and I've lived in many different communities, and it's always the same thing. We all want to lead a healthy life. I remember as I started my career, I moved to Jersey, and then I got to move to the amazing village that is Harlem. I got here, and it was community in action. Like, it wasn't just a word, it was something we lived every single day. We do it without even thinking. So for me, community shows up in ways like when I was a young mother, and I would just stand at the top of my steps with my son in his stroller, and my neighbor would instinctively just lift up the stroller, help us down the steps. No words asked, no questions asked, just immediately knew to do it. It's every Monday and Thursday when my neighbor yells my name from the street because I forgot to move my car for alternate side parking. It's when I walk into the coffee shop and the barista says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How's your son? How's your partner Ari? How's everyone doing?" And I'm like, wow, so you missed me. That's community. And so I've seen it so much as I was a part of Harlem. But again, my mission, similar to every one of you, was to also be healthy. And so I started looking for places within my community to get healthy, because I wanted to get in shape. I wanted to live that healthy, productive life that we all want to live. And as I was looking, I really couldn't find any place. And so I said, oh, okay, well, maybe we're all going downtown. Okay, it's a simple train ride. We know we got the express trains uptown, so it's a quick ride, no big deal. I get down there, I'm taking these classes, I'm looking around, but I don't see my neighbors. I actually don't feel much a part of this community at all. There's really no sense of belonging in these places. And so I come back because, again, in my career, I was an engineer. So I got to find data because I'm like, I can't be the only unhealthy person in Harlem, right? Because where's everybody going? So I come home, I look on my computer, I start looking up statistics and data because I have to prove it to myself that, okay, Tammeca, you really need to get it together. Everyone must be going to these places. This is where they're going. So I started looking up the data for Harlem, and I realized, and maybe you know this, but I didn't know this, but did you know that East Harlem has a 32% obesity rate? Did you know the #1 cause for hospitalizations and death within the Upper Manhattan area is cardiovascular disease? See, it didn't make sense to me because there were no small boutique studios focused on cardio here in Harlem, but these numbers and these statistics existed. It didn't make sense to me that I had to leave my neighborhood and my community to go downtown to work on my health when, again, these statistics were in Harlem. And so I started Harlem Cycle. We are the first, thank you. So, we are the first of our kind here north of 92nd Street. And when we started Harlem Cycle, there were 3 main things that I wanted to make sure we focused on. Well, overall arching was we were community focused because, again, I wanted to look to my left and to my right and see my neighbors. I wanted them to be healthy because who was going to call my name on alternate side parking if he wasn't out there? Yes, I needed him to be healthy and ready. And so we opened our community-focused studio with 3 principles in mind. The first, empathy. Each and every person that walks through our doors are viewed as if they are my mother, my father, my sister, or my brother. And they are given the respect that they deserve for waking up today and deciding to do something hard and challenging. And we are giving them the grace to know that their journey is starting at a different place than mine. Their motivation for being here may be different than mine, but the end result will be the same, that we are getting healthy together. Second, we made sure everything we did showed appreciation for the village that is Harlem. See, Harlem to me represented Renaissance. It was a cultural mecca of all things great in the arts. And we wanted to make sure that we were truly appreciating all those that came before us, from the name of our classes, to our studio design, to the music that we played. Everything had to be focused on really showing appreciation to that of the village of Harlem. And last, to make my grandma proud, I made sure that every time we got a little bit, we gave a lot more in return. So we do a lot of free programs, from community outdoor bike rides, to hikes, to family fun runs, to free classes. We knew that if we just got our community moving and got them focused on a healthy lifestyle, eventually they'll come and want to stay with us, right? We knew that if we just got them focused on fitness, focused back on that ultimate goal of leading a healthy life, that in the end, they may choose us. But overall, our mission was that the people of Harlem had a healthy option for them to work out. And so I challenge you today. Taking a look at your community, is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is everyone socially and emotionally and mentally stable, or are they unstable? Are there underlying diseases that we could all cure by just leading a healthier lifestyle? If your answer to any of those is a yes or a no, actually if you're on this side of my equation, then I challenge you to make sure you are looking back at what that ultimate mission in your life really is leading a healthy and productive life. And once you've discovered your plan for your individual wellness, I want you to reach back, find that neighbor, and pull them along with you. Because in the words of Helen Keller, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Thank you.